Good evening, everyone, and welcome to NLL Live for Week 7. I'm your host, Mark Powers. With me, as always, the editor, one of the co-founders of Lacrosse All-Stars, coming at you live from Brooklyn, New York. Connor Wilson, how are you?
I'm doing well. Cannot complain one bit. Excited to talk to our guest tonight.
Yes, very much so. And normally I don't really go into too much fanfare, but I got a little excited in my research, and I think you did too. I want to rattle off some of this guy's statistics before we let everybody get a chance to talk to the guest. He is a two-time Minto Cup winner out of Orangeville, the MVP of the 2009 tournament. He went to Canisius College, where he is the only All-American in Canisius history. He was the MVP and most outstanding midfielder of the World Under-19 Championship back in 2008, where he scored 5 goals in the championship game against Team USA. Currently, he stars for the Colorado Mammoth. He's the leading goal scorer in the NLL. The man himself, Adam Jones. How you doing this evening?
Good. I'm excited to be here.
Excellent, excellent. Now, are you conscious of all those accolades, or is that something that you're still trying to stay humble about?
I usually don't try to talk about those things too often. I'm more worried about this year and getting some more wins with the Mammoth.
Nice, that's the right answer. And you guys are riding a nice 2-game winning streak, so hopefully we can get you back out on the floor soon and help the team. I want to introduce the fans to you off the field a little bit first. We're going to change things up with our format, and we're going to hit you with a lightning round real quick. So Adam, these questions are either going to be yes or no or real quick answers, and we'll do it for about 2 minutes, all right?
Sounds good.
All right. What is your favorite television show?
Breaking Bad.
Okay. Is there any particular food that you need to eat before a game?
I'd have to say pasta, chicken Alfredo.
Oh, nice. Okay. Here's another lacrosse question for you. I want your best on-floor, as in box lacrosse memory, and your best on-field memory, as in field lacrosse.
My best box lacrosse would have to be actually when I played midget in Owen Sound. We only had 12 players, and we were supposed to be ranked in the B division, and we got brought up to the A division, and we lost in the finals of A or in overtime to Orangeville, who I ended up playing for the following year in junior A. So that was kind of big. It was with all my hometown boys that I played lacrosse with growing up, and we were kind of the underdog. So that was probably one of my biggest memories in indoor, other than the Mintos with Orangeville. And then field lacrosse has to be playing for Team Canada. I don't know if any one specific moment, is more, prevalent in my mind than just in general being able to wear the jersey. And I remember walking with the rest of the team out to a game against Iroquois as a group, seeing all the guys I was with, and I still have a little banner that we all signed, and I look at it now, and it's all the guys that are playing in the NLL or that you're playing against now. So it's just a pretty neat feeling. So definitely playing for the Worlds and the Under-19 for sure.
Excellent, and we'll be sure to talk about that because you're still in the running for Team Canada, and your dad was part of the only gold medal winning team for Team Canada back in '78. So we'll definitely talk about it in the future. What's your favorite?
Not the only one. Not the only one. We're quick to forget that, Mark. We lost in 2006, right?
Oh, right. Excuse me. I forgot.
Don't forget that one. Can't forget that.
I'm trying to put it behind me. I'm trying.
I know.
Oh,
I'm stabbing you. I'm stabbing you.
Oh, I appreciate the correction. You're right. We gotta show the respect to the Canucks where it's due. That's true. Golf clap. Golf clap. Day of reckoning is coming. July's coming quick, everybody. Who's your favorite non-lacrosse sports team?
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay.
I have to go with them.
Sure. If you could have lunch with one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
Muhammad Ali, by far.
Oh, nice. Who's the toughest opponent you've ever gone up against? And I'll take this to mean a defender, an individual defender, rather than a team.
There's been so many. I know playing Orangeville, I think Andrew Suter was kind of that guy who would lay a physical beating on me and then have a good conversation after the game. So it'd have to be Suter for sure.
Okay. Do you have any nicknames that we need to know about?
No. The only nickname I have is Jonesy. It's pretty straightforward.
Jonesy.
Yeah, my parents call me Fred, short for Freddie Flintstone, because I guess when I was younger I used to tiptoe around the floor and look like Freddie Flintstone or something. So they call me Freddie still to this day. So it's stuck with me.
Okay, nice. Now this is going to be an interesting one for you because you've been putting up a lot of highlights recently, and I don't know if these are going to creep into your answer, but what's the most memorable or the best goal that you've scored?
The best goal that I've scored. I remember one time in junior, I was playing Owen Sound Junior B against the Northmen Junior B, and I was playing for the Junior A's as well for Orangeville. So I had a game the night before in Orangeville, and it was a playoff game, and we were shorthanded, and I had 3 guys on me. I threw behind the back from like the blue line almost, and it went in, and it put us up by a goal late in the game, and we ended up winning the series against Orangeville, and I got booed by the crowd. And the next night, I played for Orangeville Junior A, and the same people were cheering me on. So it was a bizarre situation, but I think the behind the back goal in Orangeville when I was playing for the Owen Sound Rams was probably the nicest goal I've scored.
Nice. That sounds memorable. Only in Ontario, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have a specific pregame song, or is there one that the Mammoth have rallied behind? All you Canadians really seem to be into this terrible pop music.
Well, right now we kind of got this the Black Skinhead by Kanye West, and we seem to correlate it with the new movie Wolf on Wall Street, when at the beginning of the movie the guy's pounding on his chest. So we kind of do that while listening to Black Skinhead. It's a really awkward thing to see, but right now, we've done that the last 2 games. So as weird as it may sound, I think we're going to continue to do that until we don't play so well. So.
Okay, nice, good answer. Last question, and this one's lacrosse oriented. Connor loathes this category, but I feel like I gotta ask you anyway. Do you have any memorable fights that you've been a part of on floor?
Memorable fights. I used to fight in Junior B the odd time. I haven't had a fight I had one this summer, but other than that, I haven't fought in a long time. But
sure.
I had one I remember. It was probably the dirtiest play I've ever done in my career. And
do tell.
I had the ball at the top of the power play in Junior B, and I think his name was Elijah Printup. He played for Niagara-on-the-Lake Junior B, and he just, every time I passed the ball, he slashed me on the wrist, so I just kind of two-handed him in the chest and then in the head, and then fought him, and I got like a 17-minute penalty, and it was a disaster. But I don't know how the fight. I had prom that night, so I went to prom with a couple scratches on my face after that one.
I love it. I love it. Like I said, only in Ontario, baby.
Yeah,
that's
Owen Sound.
That's how you guys seem to do. Nice, nice. Well, let's bring my man Connor back into the fold. Let's get back to the NLL at hand. Obviously, you're on the shelf right now with a shoulder injury. But let's start talking about the Colorado Mammoths last week getting a big win over the Swarm. What are your thoughts on the game? You went out a little early, but I'm sure it was great to have Casey Powell back.
Oh, I mean, having a guy with that much experience and leadership goes a long way. And I don't think people who aren't playing in the National Lacrosse League understand how big that is for a team who, we were kind of struggling. We were 2-5 going to the game, and knowing that we have such a big presence, leadership-wise and obviously on the floor, kind of gave us that extra little boost and spice things up a bit. So, going into this weekend, we knew it wasn't a must-win game, but, we knew if we lost that one that we would have been tough, heading into Vancouver this weekend. So we kind of had that extra little, aggression and will to win. And I think we came out very, ready to go. And, it was great having him back. And he obviously had a big game for us.
How do you put those kind of early losses, those early struggles behind you so readily, and just say, it's time for the next one? I mean, how do you do that mentally as an athlete?
It's not easy. I know the group of guys that live here, we're kind of grouchy towards each other until about Wednesday after a loss. And when we were 1-4, we kind of thought of it as not having any pressure on us. People were counting us out and saying we need to make all these changes and so forth. But, with the group of guys we have, I always had confidence in us, winning. We had an overtime loss in Vancouver, could have went either way. It's just, those extra 2 games in the season this year is big in my opinion. You don't want to have those 3 or 4 game losing streaks, but having that extra 2 games definitely helps, knowing if we lose the next one, we're not necessarily out. We just need to win the next few. So knowing that in the back of our minds, I think we just need to prepare and make sure that we're focused on the next game and not to dwell on the losses. And lacrosse is a game of momentum, and we had some bad momentum, and now we're kind of getting some good bounces, which is creating some positive momentum. So just kind of forget about it and move on.
Do you have any thoughts on any of the recent scores, especially the scores from last week? Anything surprise you? Any teams jumping out to you right now that are kind of shockers? Maybe teams you didn't see coming up to the top that are there.
No, I think that's the reason why this league is as popular as it is because there's so much parity. And you look at teams like the Edmonton Rush who are 5-0, and I think the Bandits are 4-1. And then you have the Stealth who are at 2-5. If you look at all these, the predictions for, let's say, Buffalo and Vancouver, nobody probably could have guessed where they would be at, like, compared to where they are now. I don't think that was
Mr. Powers.
Guess, right? So
yeah, Mr. Powers had that one.
Yeah. Well,
he had that on lock early on.
Well, then you're. I mean.
That's what they pay me for, baby. Okay.
Yeah, that's why you make the big bucks. But just for me, it's like, every game, there's no team you walk in and you say it's a clear win. And someone said that in our dressing room the other week. They said, back in the day when you're playing, when the NLL first started, you kind of had those teams where you knew you're getting those for sure wins. And now it's completely opposite. You could be a 5-0 Edmonton Rush going to play, one of the bottom teams and lose, and players in the league wouldn't be surprised. So, if the teams are doing well, they're doing well, and it's just not a surprise to me. I think that every team's good, and it's all about getting the right bounces and putting the right pieces of the puzzle together at the right times. And once a team does that, then they're going to be successful. I mean, look at Rochester the last 2 years. I don't think they had a plus 500 season, but they seem to put it together when it counted. So. There's so much parity that I'm not surprised in the standings at all.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I just want to remind everybody before we continue with the recap that we really appreciate all your comments and questions. Please continue to get them in via YouTube, via Twitter with hashtag NLL Live. You can also get at the Lacrosse Network on Facebook. Got a lot of great questions coming up for Adam. But before we get to him, let's talk a little bit about the rest of the results this weekend. You talked about the Vancouver Stealth. They came east and had a little bit of a tough road trip. They dropped one on Friday night to Toronto, a game where Garrett Billings went nuts. Unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention to my fantasy team, and I knew I wanted to add him. He went berserk. They won 17-12 there. And then the next day, Vancouver ran into the buzzsaw that seems to be the Philadelphia Wings. I'll admit that I picked them wrong. I had them dead last in our preseason picks, and they're looking to be pretty formidable. They won that game 15-9. Connor, did you catch any of Vancouver's road trip?
Yeah, I did. I saw the Rock game, and Toronto looks solid. They kind of look a little bit more like I thought they would look early on. But again, I think that goes to what Adam's saying, is that these teams can show up, on any given night and put together the performance that you expect that they're capable of. And when they do, they're all dangerous. So I think it was a good night for Toronto. Vancouver is struggling right now, but again, I wouldn't count those guys out. I mean, there's a history of success within that franchise, and the only thing that concerns me, I guess, right now is that the losses aren't 1 or 2 goal losses. A 5-goal loss and a 6-goal loss. That's where I start to get a little concerned. Is just if that starts to creep out, that loss margin kind of extends itself a little bit. I think that's where you get into dangerous territory because you're not competing quite as much.
That's a great point, and you know what? Vancouver has some factors working against them right now. Kyle Sorensen, their captain and an all-star defenseman, is injured. They got a lot of young offensive talent that seemingly started the season hot, but now maybe they're found out a little bit, and I think that's a similar problem to what the Swarm are having, the team that the Mammoth took out this weekend. I was really high on their young talent before the season, but it's showing me that as you alluded to in our preseason rankings, that experience certainly has some merit. And let's talk about 2 experienced games. Let's talk about Buffalo taking out Toronto in another close one in back-to-back weeks. Buffalo beat Toronto on the back end of a 2-game weekend for Toronto. They beat them 12-10 on Saturday. And then the game of the weekend, in my eyes, was the Edmonton Rush holding form and taking out the Rochester Nighthawks at home in overtime. Mark Matthews with a great goal in that game. Any takeaways from those, Connor?
Yeah, I mean, Buffalo is continuing to impress. Not only are they putting up goals in the 5-on-5 and with some older, experienced players, some guys who really know what they're doing, but they're integrating younger guys in well. Again, I've been incredibly impressed, and I think I've said it every single show. So why not be consistent and say it again? Dane Smith, game changer. I love his style of play. He's tearing it up. So he's been a lot of fun to watch. But I think they have a really strong defense. Cosmo's been fantastic. I mean, I like Buffalo. They're getting it done. They're putting it together. I thought they would last year. They didn't quite meet up with the expectations that I had, but they're doing it this year, man, in a big way.
Yeah, no question. And I know that you're a big Rock fan, and I was happy to see the Rock and the Bandits play a closer game this time rather than the comeback that they had the week before. And it was good to see that on the back end of a 2-game weekend. Them being an older team, that might be tougher. Talking about Edmonton and Rochester, to me that was a great game. Rochester obviously put out some great effort. It's tough for a team to go all the way across country, and we can certainly talk to Adam about his travels in the league playing out in Denver. But for Rochester to go out there, put up a tough fight like they did, to go down in an overtime, the Rush are staying true to form. I certainly was high on them before the season, but I didn't see them being undefeated. What do you think their prospects are, Adam? They're in the same conference as you. You got to be a little nervous. I mean, admit it, going into Edmonton, they got that great defense. What are your thoughts on the Rush this year?
I mean, they got a great team. Every part of their team right now seems like it's clicking well. I know when we played them, their defense, they got some big bodies back there, and it's tough to get to the middle. And then you have their offense, who's is moving well, and they seem to know where the off-ball guys are, and they keep swinging it back and forth. So, they're definitely a force to be reckoned with. But as I said before, every game, you never count out anybody, and it's going to be tough to go 18-0 for them. But they have a good team. I do look at their standings and think, wow, they must be on fire down there in Edmonton. But I think as I said, every team has a chance to win against every team. So I'm looking forward for us to get another shot and hopefully repay them for the 2 losses that they've caused us earlier in the season.
Nice. Let's go with some viewer questions. Why not? Shout out to my man Billy Wynn, patrol in the comments section as always. LAS NYC represent. You know it. I got a good 1-word or 2, maybe 2-word question for you from in Lacrosse We Trust. I like it. Do you have a prediction on who's going to be the top pick in tonight's WLA draft?
And that question's for me?
Yeah, this is for you.
I'm gonna have to go with Jesse King out of Victoria.
Jesse King, put it in the books.
I don't know if he plays.
Put it in the books.
I don't know if he knows Victoria. If he plays Victoria Junior,
I think he does.
Victoria Junior A too.
I think he does. I think you're safe with that.
Yeah. No, I had a chance to meet Jesse at Team Canada tryouts and watched him play, and he's definitely an up and comer. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was first for sure.
Yeah, he's a heck of a player, and I think he's going to have a huge season at Ohio State this year. Could really be the keystone for their offense. We got another good question from Performax Lax. How much did playing for Randy Mearns at Canisius help your game?
Oh, it was huge. I mean, that was the reason I went to Canisius first and foremost, is knowing his career in the NLL, and the only the thing that people talk about him when they talk about his career in the NLL is his passion, and it definitely showed in his coaching, and he had a lot of passion for lacrosse and more importantly his players, and he taught me a lot, and we had a lot of conversations closed door in his office that I think really helped me out both lacrosse wise and academically as well. So I think the highest of Rainer Mearns, I think he's one of the best to ever play, and I tried to, when I was there, emulate his desire to win and his work ethic, and I think that that's helped me transfer my game from college to professionally.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Canisius experience real quick before we get back to our viewer comments. And we got a lot of them coming in, and thanks a lot, guys. Keep it up with the questions. Randy Mearns is obviously from Canada. He famously won a Minto, a Man Cup, and I think the President's Cup as well. And I know that he makes recruiting Canadians a focal point of his program. And proof seems to be in the pudding, considering you guys made a lot of NCAA tournaments. Talk about what it was like to play field lacrosse with more of a Canadian bent to it, and let's talk about your Canisius career a little bit.
Oh, I loved playing there first and foremost, and I think I don't know what they breed in Buffalo, but the guys on my team are absolute beauties. And they're still they're still best
my best adjective.
Oh, they're the best. They're still my best friends to date. Like, they're awesome people, and playing with Canadians kind of made things easier for me. I remember my first ever practice when I went there. I didn't play a lot of field lacrosse before college. Then I went there and I saw everyone switching hands, and I remember Randy put me. I had an individual with Nick Lococo and another person. I'm not sure exactly who it was. I forget, but he had me switch to my right hand, and my first 4 passes just went soaring over my target. And then he kind of gave me a look like, "Oh, I can't believe I recruited this guy." But no, it ended up well. And, no, it was great. There's a lot of Canadians, and I had a few friends. Just like Buffalo's right over the border, so I'd always go back and forth and show some of the Americans what Canada's like. And
right.
No, it was a blast. And our first year we had a really good team. With a lot.
And you were the leading midfield scorer in the country with 38 goals. Golf clap, golf clap.
But I didn't know that much about field lacrosse, so I was kind of half attack, half midi. They'd put me in the middle, and then we had an awesome.
You were the
attack.
Unguided missile.
Yeah, I would just sit in the middle, and they'd slide the pole away from me. So it worked out well. But that the next few years they kind of clued in and had the pole on me. But no, it was awesome. I wouldn't have changed a thing. Probably the best 4 years of my life being there.
Before I get to my man Connor, who I know wants to talk to you about your upbringing, I want to ask you about a quote that I saw in your research that kind of relates to Canisius. You said, "For me, field lacrosse and box lacrosse are completely different. But one thing that I had trouble with in field, I caught flat. I'd catch the ball and not. That's something that me work on a lot and will benefit me when I start playing professionally. Now when I play, I always keep my feet moving. That's something I learned in college that will transfer over." Talk about the importance of moving your feet. I mean, as a coach, I know Connor's a coach too. It was really thrilling for me to see you say that. Talk about that transition.
Well, let me clarify first. I don't 100% all the time have my feet moving.
Right.
If I say I did, Bob Hanley would kill me if he heard me say that. But it's huge. I mean, especially in field lacrosse. In box, you don't have a lot of room. So when you catch the ball, it's a little different. You don't have a 6-foot long pole on you. If you catch a ball in box lacrosse, it's usually a short stick and you usually have 3 or 4 feet separation, so it's easy to catch and make a play, or catch and then run. You don't have as much space to run in field lacrosse. If you catch it flat-footed, you have a guy coming at you with a 6-foot long pole, and it's a lot more difficult to to catch or to make a play once they're on you. So I think moving your feet is a huge part of the game, and that's the one thing over the last 3 years that I've needed to work on, and it's still something I need to work on. And, when you move your feet, you don't just make opportunities for yourself, you open up other players. We were doing a power play the other day, and I caught myself not cutting through the middle, and then I didn't realize how that affects the rest of the players on the floor. So then Eddie Coma, our offensive coach, came over and said, "Well, if you cut, then he's going to be open and he's going to be open." And then, so then I cut a couple times, and we were getting looks from other guys. And, it's just always trying to get, that's one thing that I need to still work on to get, to make our offense better as a whole. It's just something that was out of my comfort zone, and now I'm trying to, incorporate that into my game now.
Now, we know people are always asking to see professional players' sticks. And we know from a little pre-show chat that you don't have your stick with you. We'll forgive it this time. But why don't you explain your stick setup a little bit? And I'm not as interested about V shooters or all that. but really, what are you trying to get out of your lacrosse stick? I think that's a question we don't ask people enough. I'd like to hear your answer. Yeah.
So, well, my head's I use a Under Armour Charge head as well as an Under Armour Charge.
Team 22.
Shaft. Yeah, Team 22. So they're both really light. So I like to have a light stick, and then I usually have 4 shooting strings. For me, there's 2 important things in a stick. One is hold, and one is a fast release. So if you ever see my lacrosse stick, everyone on my team makes fun of me because my pocket's huge. So everyone thinks, from looking at it, it's going to throw slower than if you had a smaller pocket. But how I have it set up is it has almost 2 mini pockets. There's one near the bottom by the base of my head, kind of like a field lacrosse stick. And then I also have an area where it holds right below the shooting string. So when I catch the ball and a defender's on me, the ball sits at the lower pocket because it's harder to get out. And then when I go to cock back my stick, the ball goes right underneath the shooting strings. So then when I'm about to shoot, the only thing it touches is the shooting string, so it comes out a lot faster. So I don't know. I don't know if I explained that right or
no, that's a good
makes no sense to anybody, but I have a big pocket and I like the ball sit right underneath the shooter. Yeah, so it doesn't just go through the whole big pocket before it comes out. It just sits right underneath the shooting strings, and it allows it to come out faster and a little more accurate. I like to think, anyways.
Nice. That's a good one. You got your boy Andrew Suter. He's checking in. He's saying, "What's good? What's happening?"
Well, hi, Andrew. It's good to see you.
When are we going to get him on the show?
I wouldn't get him on the show if I were you.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Is
just
he gonna try and fight one of us?
Probably, but he'll probably end up just punching the screen or something.
I don't think we'd put up much resistance.
Yeah, no, he's a scary man.
Speak for yourself, baby.
Big question, and I think that this also even gets back to the Canisius side of things, and then playing field lacrosse possibly for Canada again. But, how are your approaches to those 2 games really different? I mean, you talked a little bit about throwing that ball righty for the first time, and it's sailing. But, I mean, what elements have you brought into your game from one and into the other?
Well, I have a theory that it's a lot more difficult to go from field lacrosse to box lacrosse rather than it is to go from box lacrosse to field lacrosse. I think, field lacrosse, you learn fast, how to catch in tight and how to make passes with, a defender on your player that you're passing it to. So when, for me, box lacrosse is more of, getting in tight, getting shots, and then getting your rebounds and grinding out that 30-second shot clock. Whereas field, you really need to be smart and you really need to have a set kind of offensive play because if you miss the net on a bad shot, sometimes you don't get the ball back. Whether in box lacrosse you shoot, it hits the boards, it comes right back to you, and it's real nice. But in field lacrosse, it's almost like you want to take care of the ball a lot more because it could be 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes before you get it back. So in field lacrosse, I feel like it's really important to possess the ball and to make smart decisions. Whereas box lacrosse, it's almost like if you see a chance, you take it right away because you might not see that chance again in that 30 seconds. So, and obviously you can shoot from a lot farther out in field lacrosse because the nets are a lot bigger. So.
Right. That was a great answer from a great question from Zachary Brown. You got one little zinger, I think, here from Canisius Lacrosse giving you a hard time.
This should be good.
Hey, Adam, do you lift weights? Hashtag Griffs,
Hashtag Griffs. Well, that's a very good question. If I do lift weights, I try to stick to light weights. But no, I lift weights a lot before the season, and I hope to be in as good a shape possible coming into the season. And then, it's hard traveling, on weekends and then coming back and continue to lift the same amount of weights as I was before. So I just kind of, I've maintained more than, I work out, but I work out to be healthy and to maintain. And we have a great trainer here in Joel Rather who, has it all planned out since 2 months before training camp to the last week of the season. So I've just been following what he's been doing, and it's been doing great. And unfortunately, I got hurt, but I don't think that has to do with my training. I hope. So.
No, I don't think so. That's
No,
a
it's not.
fluke.
I'm just
That's a
kidding.
fluke. You'll get better soon. Ashley Hayes has a great question, but before we get to that, I want to shout out some of our viewers. We got Ryan King, we got Ryan Regan, Josh Berger checking in. Thanks a lot, guys. We appreciate that. Ashley Hayes says that she is a lacrosse player and she wants to know some tips to become a better player. Other than wall ball, kind of the standard that I hope all lacrosse players are practicing by this point, are any specific drills or training that you really swear by?
I know this is really cliche, and you've probably heard it from every coach that you've ever had, Ashley. But the only thing that will make you a better lacrosse player, if you're just, I don't know if you're just beginning or not, but honestly, when I was younger, I had my lacrosse stick in my hands everywhere I went. I would go to my grandma's house, I'd have my lacrosse stick. I'd go to school, I'd have my lacrosse stick. Just getting a feel of it, playing with it, coming up with tricks. The three most important things in lacrosse are passing, catching, and loose balls, and they all involve. You can do all of that with just having your stick in your hands whenever you get the chance. And the drills, all the drills are good, but I think just playing games, you'll learn what you're good at and what you're not so good at. So you get to work on those things that you're not so good at, and then you get to make those things you're good at even better. So just keep the stick in your hands as much as you can. And if you love lacrosse and you have your stick in your hands, I guarantee you'll be a better player just by playing with it and cradling it and throwing it off your house or any wall that's near you.
Nice. And we also got Trevor Foreman checking in, Mason O'Hanlon, Heather Kay. Got a bunch of questions that we're going to get to. Chris, thanks for checking in. Appreciate that. Aaron Greasy has an interesting question, and I'm sure you'll love to talk about your family. Did playing lacrosse with your cousins, the McLeods, one of whom who plays with you on the Mammoth, all your life really help improve your game? And I guess we'll talk about your family in general. You're somewhat of a pretty famous Canadian lacrosse family, no?
I don't know about Canadian wise, but I definitely in the Owen Sound area we have my grandpa's name was Harry Kazarian, and there's a tournament in Owen Sound named after him in the summer in June, and that's kind of if someone from my area was to say the name Kazarian, they would know that we play lacrosse. It's just kind of that's something that our family's always done, and that's kind of what we're known for in the Owen Sound area. And I know playing with my cousins, I know Matt on McLeod on my team, and Mike and my cousin Aaron. We'd always go to my grandma's house and play mini sticks every Sunday after church. So we definitely had some good rivalries, and I usually watch Matt and Mike fight while me and Aaron just stood there and laughed, and then the fight would be over and we continue to play. So it's good having that support system in your family, and always if anything bad ever happened, they'd always have good advice because they've been through it, and I was always the youngest. So it was good. I loved playing at Grandma Diesel's house on Sundays and beating them in some
Grandma Diesel?
Yeah, that's her nickname. She's famous for it now.
I love it. Can you talk a little bit more about that, about this backyard lacrosse with your cousins, and whether it's cousins or dear friends, whatever it is. But I'm a huge believer that can lead to lacrosse greatness. What do you think about the backyard game?
I think lacrosse is a sport that if you look at the players that are successful are always the players that loved lacrosse growing up from when they're at a young age, and usually people who had a good supporting cast, whether it was friends or family, since they were young. I mean, you look at all the successful players from Peterborough, they all played together growing up. They all enjoyed it from a young age, and playing in your backyards is something that I guarantee everyone in the NLL has done. I can pretty much guarantee it. And playing with playing in Owen Sound in the backyard was awesome. My dad was my minor coach, and he'd always have barbecues every month in our backyard, and then we'd strap on the pads and just play mini sticks in the backyard for hours and hours while our parents just hung out and stuff. So, and I agree with you. I think that does kind of that brings out your creativity and just shows, if you're going to play mini sticks in the backyard for hours and hours, it means that you love the game. And if you love the game and have fun with it, then you're going to be successful.
Nice. We got a couple more questions coming in, but I want to ask you a little bit more about this family dynamic. I was reading that you guys had a chance to play together, your cousins, and you played on the Owen Sound Senior B team. Was that this summer? That's also coached by your dad. Talk about that experience. That must have been a trip.
I know how it sounds, but well, when my first game, Junior B, so this would have been 7 years ago, or whatever. In Owen Sound, I played with my cousin Matt, who plays for the Mammoth, and then my cousin Mike and my cousin Sean. And my dad was the head coach, and my uncle Mark was the assistant. So we had the whole family playing on one team. And then 2 years, or was it last year? Yeah, last year when I played Senior B, it was kind of the same dynamic, except my cousin Brian was playing as well, and my dad was just the assistant coach, and my uncle was the head coach. It's hard to keep track of, but yeah, I'm still playing with my cousins in the summer, or at least I was. So I feel like I've been doing it forever. So it's great. Nice. And it's fun. I enjoy it.
Okay, and that leads to my next question to appease my Canadian viewers. What's the deal with your summer plans? I know you played for the Brooklyn Redmen in the past, and I know you spent some time out in Langley this summer. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to make the return trip out there with the Mammoth this weekend, but I'm sure you would have loved to get out to the LEC.
Yeah, I mean, I had a great time this summer. Good group of guys. We didn't get the result that we wanted, but it was definitely an awesome experience, and they have a great organization there. As for this summer, I'm with the Outlaws and the Oakville Rock and the Langley Thunder. So right now I'm still deciding on if I want to go out west, if I want to stay east, or if I want to play in the MLL. There's just a lot of decisions to be made, and some of those decisions have to do with whether or not I'm still on Team Canada when they whittle their roster down to the 23-man. So there's still a lot of decisions to be made, and I'm kind of procrastinating and waiting until the last minute, I think, before I decide.
Right, and I discredited that. I'm sure you're really excited for July out in Denver, and hopefully a return to the MLL, the outdoor game. I think we'd really like to see you out there. But I got to shout out your cousin. Apparently, your cousin Aaron was the one that hit us with that question before. He's anxious to get credit for his part in these games.
It's Aaron. You said Aaron Greasy. It's Aaron Grease. It's Aaron Grease, and his nickname was Greaser when growing up. So when I was with somebody, I didn't know if I ever called him Greaser. They thought I was making fun of him, but really it was just his last name. So
that's awesome. That's funny. I got a buddy with the same nickname. Heather K checked in. This is an interesting question. She wants to know which of the many theme nights that the Mammoth hosts, which one of those is your favorite?
My favorite by far would have to be the Lacrosse Out Cancer Night. There's a lot of people right now that I know of, and everyone's kind of affected by cancer. So it's really good to show the fans that we're thinking about their families or any difficulties that they're having with that situation and stuff. And we've had cancer issues within our team. Obviously, Sean Pollock's wife was diagnosed with breast cancer a year or so ago. So, and now Tucker Williams, Sean Williams' son in Buffalo, is struggling with cancer as well. So it's always something that's an easy game to get motivated for, and it's a good way to make money for cancer research. So.
Yeah, agreed. And playing for a club team that embraces the mission, I certainly appreciate that. Everybody loves the pink stuff. Got to get to some Twitter questions. We got Kelsey Marie checking in. She says, "Didn't your sister play lacrosse too?"
Yeah, she did. She grew up in Owen Sound, played for Owen Sound, and then she played for the Orangeville Northmen senior women's team, coached there, and then she went to Belmont Abbey in North Carolina and played her college lacrosse there. So we used to have some good battles in the backyard, and she'd let me win the odd time, so it was very nice of her.
Canadian invasion. Okay, we like it. Henry Bliss is checking in. He's got a great question, actually, and I'm curious about this myself. He wants to know what the weekly schedule is like for Mammoth players, and he has some examples. He wants to know about training, practice, gym time, film study, meetings, that type of stuff. Outside of your day job, which I assume has something to do with Under Armour Lacrosse, but other than that, as far as your Mammoth obligations, can you talk about those?
Yeah, usually it depends on, the weeks. A couple weeks ago, we had 2 doubleheaders in a row, so our training was kind of limited, and it was more, stretching and foam rolling and doing some maintenance stuff. But as far as, so let's say last week we played in Calgary. We had a break on Sunday, and then we were at the gym. We break Monday, and we went to the gym Tuesday, Thursday, and then we went to our coach's office on Wednesday to watch some film. And then we usually take, then obviously Friday we have a practice Friday night, just for an hour. Or an hour to 2 hours. We get all of our flying guys to meet us at the practice facility. We'll practice Friday night, and then all the guys will go to the hotel except for the guys that live here. And then we meet for breakfast in the morning at a hotel downtown. And then we go to a shoot around 10 or 11 in the morning, and then go home, have a nap, and then we play at night. So we usually go to the gym around twice a week, and then do some stuff on your own if you want. And then we usually watch our last game plus a game of whatever team we're going to be playing that weekend. So a couple games of film, and just kind of get focused. And yeah, it's not too busy, it's not too bad. And we do some appearances, go to some schools during the week, and talk to some of the young, youth in Denver, or at least we do, the guys that live here. So it's not too bad, it's not too busy, so it's it's good.
So how does that change up now that you are, rehabbing and trying to get back out on the floor? I mean, you've done it before with the knee. This is hopefully a little bit more minor than that, but how do you do that? And then once you feel that your body's ready to kind of get back in NLL action, how do you work your way back in, especially say the team wins their next 3 or 4 games? How do you work your way back in? I mean, I don't have a lot of doubt that you're not going to work your way back in, but in general, how do you guys do that?
Yeah, right now the next, doctor told me to just rest it for 7 days. So right now all I'm doing is just resting it and icing it, and trying to keep myself from moving it. I go to see the doctor next week, and then I'll be able to, get some feedback on how it's progressing and what I can do to make it better, start rehabbing and things like that. And, as far as coming back to the team, I mean, I'm just going to ask the coaches when I'm ready to go what they need me to do, and, whether it's the same role as when I left or whether it's something different, whatever the team thinks they need me to do when I get back, I'll be willing to do that. And, I'm hoping we win the next 3 games or however many games I'm out for. I hope we win all those. And, then I come back and hopefully I can fit right back in where I left off, and just do the things that the coaches are asking me to do.
Nice. So, I mean, I'd like to hear a little bit more too about playing with some of these older guys who are, let's call them what they are. They're legends of the game. I mean, living legends. John Grant Jr., Casey Powell. It's really a pretty cool experience. Do you ever have moments where you get starstruck? I mean, granted, you may have more goals than Junior, but do you ever have those moments?
Yeah, I do. I remember my first year, we went out to sign autographs after the game, and that was something different to me. I've never had to sign a bunch of autographs, and in Denver the fans are awesome, so they're always there to support you whether you win or lose. And we head out, and I'm signing autographs, and a couple people are like, "Oh, who's this? And then you start getting every fan asking you, "When's Junior coming out? When's John coming out?" It just makes you realize, like, you're playing with one of the best lacrosse players in the world, and all these fans are asking him, and it definitely gives you something to, inspire and to be when I get a little older. That'd be something that you want kids to, know who you are, and think that you're a good player. And it's neat seeing how Junior and Casey Powell as well, and when Gavin was with us, it was the same thing, just seeing how they carry themselves, with the public and with fans, and how they prepare before games. And they've definitely given some good words of wisdom to me so far, which has helped me in the last few years. So it's definitely, I couldn't have asked for a better group to be playing with, in my career, and the guys that I've had a chance to kind of absorb their mentality and the things that they've been saying. So it's been, it's awesome, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
I mean, and if you stick on this trajectory, I mean, you could start getting lumped in with some of those guys as being, it might take another 12, 13 incredibly successful years, but is that something you think about at all? I mean, does that even cross your mind, or is it just, one game at a time?
No, I don't. That hasn't crossed my mind. They've been playing for so many years and have done so many great things for the sport. Whether it's, for me, legends, they're awesome on the floor, but they also do a lot of stuff off the floor with, lacrosse camps and growing the game that, is something that I admire, and that's something that I want to be able to do. And, I want to start as soon as possible. And I'm starting to do a little bit now, but just seeing how they handle the whole lacrosse atmosphere, playing, promoting the sport and stuff, and that's something, that's what I look up to. And for me right now, I'm only in my third year, so I'm just trying to continue to play consistent lacrosse, and then I think if you worry about the little things, and the big things will come, if you deserve them. So for me, I'm just focusing on winning a Champions Cup this year and playing each game, consistently and as good as I can.
Nice. I want to get back to some of our viewers checking in on Twitter. By the way, thanks a lot for doing that, everybody. Don't forget to get at us with the hashtag NLL Live. Victoria Weber, we see you. Gunnar Martinez has an interesting question checking in via Twitter. He wants to know, Adam, is there anybody who told you that you wouldn't be successful? I guess he wants to know if you have any haters out there.
Not necessarily. I don't think I've ever had any haters. I have had, when I tore my ACL, I had a lot of people doubting me. I'm not the kind of guy to go read what people are writing about me or go on forums or whatnot, but I kind of knew that some people might have been expecting me not to be successful when I first joined the NLL. So that was kind of an extra motivation as well to be prepared and be ready to play. And as far as people telling me I wouldn't make it, I don't think that's happened. I've played Nolan Sound where, the population is about 20,000 people, and you're playing with the same guys year after year after year. So there wasn't very many, I guess, miscellaneous people that I didn't know that would be able
outside
the
circle
that would be able to tell me that. I kind of just played with my group of friends, moved on. Like, no one expected us to do anything in Nolan Sound, and then sooner or later I was in Orangeville playing junior A, so I didn't really have the chance for people to tell me that.
Nice. I got a funny one for you. Greg Milliman at GMilly55 is checking in.
I know
he
Greg.
Says, yeah, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
He says, hey, Jonesy, I heard you're a big Savage Garden fan. What's your favorite song?
Well, that story goes way back, by the way. I'm surprised he even remembers that. But I forget the name. I kind of forget the names of the song. But there's one slow song.
Oh, sing it for us.
I don't know.
You gotta sing it for us.
I can't sing it. But it has the word from the moon and back, I think it says in it.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Or Chicken Cherry Cola. Chicken Cherry Cola? Chicken Cherry Cola. I don't know. There's a few Savage Garden songs that I like to put on.
Someone on the check-in, help us out, man.
It's like really fast song. It has Chicken Cherry Cola or something, or Chicken Cherry Coke or something. And I don't know. It's been a while, but I'm glad he remembers that. It's one of my all-time favorite bands.
Sounds like a Lou Reed.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it, buddy.
we got another Twitter question for you. We got at Joey Juicebox 8 checking in. He says he's got a question for you, Jonesy. He says, what's the perfect combination of a cup of mocha and Call of Duty?
Of a cup of mocha and a Call of Duty?
Yeah, I guess that's an inside joke.
No, I don't know what I don't know. I think. Do you say a cup of mocha and Call of Duty?
Yeah, I can't
I don't know
read
what
the
he's
question
getting
any
at
better.
there. I'll have to say.
Joey Juicebox, help me out, man.
I like to eat pizza with my mochas. It's an awkward conversation or an awkward combo, but a mocha is half coffee, half hot chocolate. And I don't mind having a big slice of pepperoni pizza beside me while
That
playing
sounds
video
delicious.
games. Yeah, it's not very healthy, but I make sure I go to the gym the next day.
That's making me want to
Nice.
go watch an open air hockey game or something. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe some squirts hockey.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sign me up for that. Um, so we'll get to a couple more questions before we go. But I wanted to talk to you about something that affects your current NLL play. Something that I read about you that was really interesting in doing my research is that when you're on a team, you seem to be doing a lot of forechecking and you get involved in other facets of the game other than the goal scoring. I was interested to learn that last year you led all forwards in caused turnovers on the team, and you were second on the team in ground balls, which seems pretty remarkable to me for an offensive-oriented guy. Talk about that and whether or not that's something that you're conscious of putting an emphasis on, and maybe speak to our younger viewers about the importance of being a well-rounded player.
Yeah, well, with the rule changes now in the NLL, a couple of years ago, if the defense gets the ball, they only have 8 seconds to get it over half. So when I was younger, the way we played, we didn't play offense, defense like you see now. We play offense, same people play offense and defense, then change. And I was the designated guy to go up and try to take the ball from the other team while they brought up the floor. So it kind of works out well now.
The forechecker.
Yeah, the forecheck. So now it works out well that that 8-second rule really can work in your advantage as an offensive person when the defense has the ball. The way I look at it is if the defense drops the ball one time on the way up the floor, that's a good chance that 8-second is going to be called and you're going to have a chance to go the other way and to score a goal on a breakaway. So we've talked as a group and as a team on different ways that we can set up our defense coming off the bench so that we prevent that defenseman from passing the ball off and making him beat our forechecker.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
No, it does. It does.
Yeah. So a lot of times the defenseman will try to get rid of the ball near half, so they can go change and let an offensive guy come out. What we're trying to work on now, and we're still kind of working on it, is having our guys press up a little bit to not allow that pass, and then have me or a couple of the offensive guys go and pressure the ball, and then hopefully they either make a bad pass or they don't get the ball over in 8 seconds, and in that case we can just pick up the ball and go down and score.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting, and you certainly hit the nail on the head. You're seeing a lot more teams aggressively forecheck. I've seen it, with you in Philadelphia, definitely making a concerted effort. I want to transition that to your outdoor play a little bit. We were touching on Team Canada, and you're hoping to make the team. You were in the tryouts. You're a midfielder in the outdoor game. Talk about what you bring to the outdoor game, what your style of play is. When you were at Canisius, you scored a bunch of goals, but as we saw with our USA tryouts, some of our premier midfielders like Kyle Harrison made the team as a defensive midfielder. What type of role do you think you'd be taking on for the Canadian outdoor team this summer?
To be honest, it's actually whatever I know it's another cliche statement, but it's whatever they asked me to do. I know in the tryouts I started off as midfielder, and then I went to attack, so I was kind of playing a bit of both. But as a midfielder,
you and everybody else in the Canadian camp, right?
That's what they want, right? You only have a 23-man roster, so they need to have players that can play every position in case someone gets hurt and you're down to 22. So I know as a midfielder and an attackman, and especially with the international rules where there's no shot clock, there's no amount of time to get it over half, there's no stall, or there might be a stall call, but there's no box that you got to keep it in and so forth.
There's no time.
There's no time basically. So it's important to be able to hold on to the ball and have smart possessions and not make bad mistakes that can cost you to turn over the ball. That's huge, especially in the international game. And for me, I consider myself a smart lacrosse player who doesn't make as many mistakes as some people may make. So I think that's something that they might see in me. I'm not sure that just smart and don't make any mistakes. And if I'm in front of the net, I usually I'm supposed to score. And I had a pretty good camp with them where I thought I played pretty well. So it all depends on what they need and for them to make the best team. So I'm just hoping I'm one of the top 23. But if I'm not, I mean, there's so many great players that it's hard to it's hard to know what to expect.
Sure.
So for this, I got one last question, and it's a little esoteric, it's a little out there, but one of my least favorite phrases is "that's not real box lacrosse," because somebody is taking face-offs differently or doesn't have a proper shot clock or something. And I have my own gripes about it. You know, you want small goals, you want big goalies, you want cross-checking, but for you, what is box lacrosse? Can you define what it is to you? Like, what's at the core of the game?
The core of the game. I would say that box lacrosse, to me, is all about having good skill, stick skill, and then you have to. It's almost like a battle. It's all one-on-one games. That's the way I look at it. Winning the small things, like winning the loose balls, are huge in box lacrosse. Beating your guy to the net, not letting your guy score. It's all one-on-one games all over the floor, and then you need to have good stick skills. If you don't have good stick skills, especially in the NLL, it's going to be tough to perform. So to me, it's just a battle. You know, every time I've ever played box lacrosse, I try to give it 100%, and then at the end of the game, you're just drained and you feel like you've given it your all. And you know, for me personally, although you work as hard as you can, sometimes when you're playing field lacrosse and you're on attack and your team's winning by 20 goals, you're losing by 10 goals. Sometimes, for me, it was hard because I don't always feel like I'm doing all I can to help win, because if the ball's in the defensive end and I'm sitting at the other end of the field not doing anything, so you feel like you want to be in there helping and to get the ball back or helping your defense, but you can't. So for me, it's just, you know, it's all about a battle and beating, winning those one-on-one battles, and then having that touch of skill to be able to execute when you get the chance.
Nice. I think that's a fantastic answer. I like it. You know, because it's not necessarily about, you know, little nicky rules here and there. There's a bigger picture. I'm glad you could provide that. Zach Brown, he thinks the song is "I Want You." Is that it? Does that ring a bell?
It might be "I Want You." That would be.
Might be.
Look at him blush. Look at him blush.
I love that song. I'm not going to deny that I don't love that song. And I'm glad that Zach came up with the answer, because when I get off this call, I'm probably going to go listen to it about 5 times because I forgot about it.
There we go. Bringing up old memories, creating new ones. You know, that's what NLL Live does. We're going to run through the schedule of games this weekend. We got a bunch of good ones. Only one game on the 7th mark. Philadelphia going up to Toronto, making the trip up, visiting the Rock. What do you got going down that one?
Great game. Oh, man, I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully I don't really have any obligations this Friday. We'll see. I like the Wings on the front end, you know. They're playing awesome right now. Yeah, it's a little crazy. The Wings do have a lot of their premier players from Ontario. I think it'll benefit them with the short trip. Toronto's playing great right now. I look forward to this being a really tight game, but surprisingly, I'm looking forward to Philly's athletic defense hopefully getting out and pressuring the Toronto players, and hopefully not falling victim to too much of their trickery. So I like Philly in a tight one here.
Man, you totally stole my thunder with that comment. I like Philly to get out and press, and you know, I think Buffalo did a really good job of kind of showing how you can beat Toronto by getting out, pressing, getting in those passing lanes. So we'll see. But interesting, We're both picking Philly after dogging them early.
And I'll give you the opportunity to continue to hype your fantasy pick of the season, Kyle Buchanan. Step in there. Nailed
it. I'm just gonna say a very, very fortunate, lucky insider pick. So he's been tearing up. So you know, he's going back home. Maybe we'll see some success in Toronto. Who knows? Next one up, we got Edmonton and Philly, back-to-back games. This one I think is going to be a little tougher for the Wings. I don't know how well they match up with Edmonton. What do you think?
I think somewhat horribly. Interestingly, though, the Wings just the other day, or maybe earlier today, they were able to come to terms and they re-signed Eric Miller. So now
Yep.
they have a really formidable goaltending duo in there with Evan Kirk, which they're certainly going to need against Minnesota's offense, which is really clicking, and it's been great to see. But
Edmonton.
again, excuse me, Edmonton. Apologies,
No
Edmonton's.
worries.
Yeah, goaltending core. Yeah, Evan Kirk. I'm just so used to him being in Minnesota. That's what it is. Uh, but no, truthfully, I think it's the Edmonton defense that's going to carry the day here. I've liked the way Philly's offense has gelled, but that Edmonton D and Aaron Bold and Brody McDonald, they're playing lights out right now. I like Edmonton coming to the East Coast.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Back-to-back games, Philly heading back home.
Yeah.
I think it's a good spot to be in. That's where they want to play, but I think Edmonton's going to bring the pain a little bit.
Yeah, another game I want to watch though.
Yeah. And another game. I mean, this next one, it really, a top of the East rematch already. The Bandits at Nighthawks. Huge game.
For sure. I mean, this is, I don't want to call it put up or shut up time because obviously my Buffalo Bandits have been killing it the early season, but this is a true test, and I think it's really important because even though they're close in geography, there's a real difference when you go into another team's barn, and maybe we'll let Adam in to talk about that, what it's like to play on the road and what he thinks of Rochester. But I think this one might be a tough one for Buffalo, even though they're playing great right now. Benesh and Cosmo and Dane Smith, like we talked about, are playing awesome. I like Rochester on the rebound. I think they have a bad taste in their mouth after Edmonton and the skirmish they had at the end of the game. So I like the Nighthawks here.
Yeah, I got to go Rochester with you as well. Although I'm interested to hear, coming from somebody playing out west, I mean, what do you think about playing in Rochester? Have you played there recently?
Or Buffalo.
Yeah, or Buffalo for that matter.
I mean, personally, I love playing in Buffalo just because I went to school there and all my friends and stuff. But I mean, so did you say does Buffalo plays twice this weekend?
No, they play once. They
just
play
once.
at Rochester.
Yep.
So Rochester and Buffalo only play once?
Rochester
Yeah.
plays, they play once.
Okay. I think it's going to be a good game. The travel between Buffalo and Rochester I don't think is going to be that big of an issue. The way I look at it is Buffalo and Rochester both have a lot of players from Ontario. So it's going to be the same travel distance for both teams heading to Roch. So I don't think that's going to have too much say on the game. I haven't seen Rochester play. I haven't seen them play this year yet, but I know Buffalo has a really good team, a big, strong defense, and I'm interested to see how they match up against Jammer and those offensive guys. But you never count out a team when they have Vino in net. So
Right.
So I mean, he can steal a game for them. So it depends on how he plays, but I think it's going to be a great game.
Sure.
Last game of the
Quick
weekend.
question.
Oh yeah.
So, quick question before we get on, real quick, because it brings up the back-to-back that Philly's got. We were talking about traveling, and you were talking about how cognizant you were of how close the players are to their game. When you got a back-to-back, especially one where you got to travel for it, talk about what that's like for players in the league.
It's tough. It's really tough. I know we had one this year going from Vancouver on Friday, and then having to play in Denver on the Saturday, and we didn't land until about 3 p.m. on Saturday. Didn't get a lot of rest, so it was, a lot of us were kind of groggy and tired. But it seems the West teams, you have to fly to every away game, whereas all the East teams you can drive there, and then most of the guys are from some of the guys I guess are from the Toronto area, so they can drive there. But I guess it kind of depends on where you're going and where you're coming from. But it's not easy, especially with the 16-man roster. I mean, most teams have 6 offensive guys, maybe 7. Playing 2 games back to back, traveling, it can be tiring. And I think I'm interested to see how teams do with that throughout this year, especially with the number of players that you have now compared to last year. So I'm excited to see if last year, a lot of the doubleheaders, the team playing the doubleheader usually won their second game. So I'm interested to see if that is the same this year or if it changes.
Sure, we'll see.
Then we got the last game, or sorry, I should say we got the Roughnecks and the Swarm going to Minnesota, two of your team favorites, Mark.
I
Is
know.
Minnesota going to pull it together? Is Dane Dobby going to score 1,000,000 goals? What's going to happen?
I like Calgary in this game. They had a bye last week, and it was interesting to see McBride's comments talking about how they needed more discipline. Hopefully the bye week will help them. They've still been putting up a good amount of goals, but I just genuinely like them coming off the bye, even though they're traveling to Minnesota in this game. Minnesota's been close in all of their games. They haven't been able to get over the hump. We saw that last week. They lost by 2 goals to Colorado. Great little pickup for them in Dane Stevens, paid immediate dividends, scored some goals, got involved. But I like Calgary in this game.
Yeah, I think Calgary's definitely going to take the W, but at the same time, I think you may start to see a little different play from the Swarm.
Sure.
Just because at this point in the season, you kind of got to be saying, let's try something a little bit different. That would be my thought process anyway. So, maybe it won't be this week or next week, but if this keeps up, look for them to definitely try some different things. And maybe it'll pay off. Maybe settling down a little bit more, letting some of these guys shine in a 5-on-5 sense will work. I don't know.
Well, soon it's going to be put up or shut up time. I hate to say that on the team I had ranked number 1, but in the Eastern Conference, which is, look at what the Eastern Conference is looking like. Think about it, right? Only 4 teams are going to make the playoffs out of there. I'm sorry, 3 teams are going to make the playoffs out of there, and you got Buffalo and Rochester, who we just talked about, and then you got essentially Minnesota and Toronto fighting for that last spot. And I think right now we're both picking Toronto in that matchup, right?
Yeah, I think so. I can't count Philly
Plenty
out.
of season.
Yeah.
Oh, Philly, right, of course.
I can't count any of those kind of 3 teams out right now, but we are getting to that point where it is kind of you're starting to seal the deal a little bit, and that's a good thing. I think it gives a little bit more importance to the regular season. Last year, almost everybody made the playoffs, and
right.
I don't know that is quite as exciting. The last game of the weekend, Mammoth heading out to Vancouver, like we said, not making the trip. But what do you think is going down there?
Wow. Well,
I know.
we'll have to get to the man himself. We'll let him weigh in on his own game. Obviously, I was really buoyed by the return of Casey Powell last weekend. The legend himself, get out of the way. 9 points. Get out of here. Get out of here. And the stuff that Grant's been doing, he's basically posting up, just putting his stick out there with one hand and dominating. Their offense is finally starting to click. I hope that defense and that goaltending core, come together to help them out. But I don't know. To me, at home, Vancouver and the LEC, I'm taking Vancouver just to be different in a tight one. But, really, I like Colorado in this game.
All right, good, because I'm picking Colorado.
Yeah. Okay.
But Adam, what do you think about this matchup? Obviously, your prediction is Colorado locked in stone. $1 million question, all said and done. But what do you think about this game? For fans, what does this matchup really offer them? Why should they check it out this week?
Great question.
Well, I don't know if you want the biased opinion or if you want.
Be biased. Be as biased as you want.
I think if you look at where we were 2 games ago when we were 1-5 or 2-5, and you look where Vancouver is now, they're kind of doing similar things that we've done. If you look at the insider, they've made some changes on their roster, which is exactly what we've done, and we're more successful because of some of the moves we made, and they're kind of doing the same thing. So they're likely, going to have more confidence and are going to be successful. So I think it's going to be a good game. Obviously, I have Colorado 100%, but I'm excited to see it, and I'm excited to see obviously I'd rather be playing, but I'm excited to see it unfold on Saturday night.
Yeah, I'd be scared if any player didn't pick his own team. If he was like, I'm like 50-50.
All the way.
Hey, and Adam, you're talking about how you can't get out there. One thing just to touch on, because I'd be remiss not to talk about it. Obviously, you're in a sling. You're not going to be able to play. But let's talk about your prospects going forward. Fortunately or unfortunately, Colorado's played a lot of games in the early season, and you guys got 2 bye weeks coming up. How's that factor into your rehab? How many games do you think you're going to miss, and when might we be able to see on the floor continuing that MVP chase? Yeah, I said it.
Yeah. I won't get too far ahead of yourself, but I know...
That's what they pay me for.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm hoping 4 to 6 weeks, but it all depends on what our doctor says, and and what our coach and our staff are saying, and the last thing I want to do is rush it and then hurt it again, and then not be able to finish the season. So I'm more focused on being 110% before I come back, because as I said earlier in the show, it's how you play kind of down the end of the stretch and putting the pieces together at the right time. And as much as it's going to suck watching my team win some games without me and play some games, I know that I want to do what's best for the team and make sure that I'm 100% healthy before I come back. And if that's in 4 weeks, then I'll be back in 4 weeks, and if it's in 6 weeks, then I'll be back in 6 weeks. So that's kind of the general timeline that I'm shooting for. But who knows? It's just kind of a waiting game, and just make sure I do my rehab and be back as soon as I can.
Nice. And as we just discussed, we have a really exciting slate of NLL action coming up this week. Be sure to check it all out on the Lacrosse Network on YouTube. I'd like to thank my guest, Adam Jones, or our guest, rather. Excuse me, Connor. Don't let me cut you out like that. Adam, you got any shout-outs for any of the family back at home? Any sponsors you need to hit up, and anything like that?
No, I want to give a shout out to Team 22 for all the stuff they've done for me in the last few months, and I want to say hi to if any of my Buffalo Canisius boys are watching. I want to say hi to them, and some of my own sound buddies who probably aren't watching right now, but except for Greg Millman, who's the guy who posted that one silly question. But I just want to say hi to all my friends, and I'm excited to come home in Buffalo to see all of the guys that I've been able to see in a few months.
Sure. #grips, right?
Oh, yeah.
And CW, hopefully we get our own little box lacrosse league championship in this weekend. You got any predictions? Connor's team against my team. What are you thinking there, bud?
Oh, I'm indifferent. I don't want to start a domestic fight between you two, so I'm gonna just gonna keep
Battle of the
quiet,
Beards.
Yeah, I'll just keep it quiet.
Okay. And Connor, and any parting words? I mean, you see, I've stoked the fire.
Yeah, I'm saying chances that we get this game in this weekend,
Slim
zero.
Yeah, for those that you don't know, we got a lot of snow out here in New York right now.
But when it does go down, I guarantee the Lax All-Stars and its ringers will bring the pain train. So watch out for some of the professionals that I fly down for the game from Ontario.
I'm sure you will.
Adam, I'll call you. So it should be good. I'm excited for it. But no, check out Lax All-Stars tomorrow. We've got a great NLL preview coming from Ryan Connors. We're picking games, and everybody's got a winning record so far in picking games. So that's a good thing.
Right. Yeah, and a reminder to everyone, you can always find Connor at lacrosseallstars.com, laxallstars.com. That's it for us this week. The man himself, the most unheralded player in lacrosse. Where is Adam Jones' agent? Can we get this guy some more publicity and Inside Lacrosse cover or something? I don't know, but best of luck to you with your rehab. Best of luck with the rest of the season. Really excited to see you out in Denver. Hopefully things go well for you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I had a blast.
Good. All right, everybody, that'll do it for this week on NLL Live. We'll see you next week. Great week action coming up. Have a good one, everybody.